smiling. And after a while, I'd kind of see her eyes glaze over. And then after a while, she would just say, okay, honey, I'm full. I'm full. I'm sorry, honey, I'm sorry. And I would say, I'm sorry. And then, of course, we get part two at dinner time, whatever it was. And so I'm just asking right now because I don't want to overwhelm you with information, but if you're still interested, I'd like to continue on. Shall we continue? Now, how did the Catholic Church create a central bank? Number one, again, going back to the American Revolution, there were 4 property rights. Americans were against taxes, weren't they? They were against taxation without representation. You remember the famous speech by Patrick Henry, right? No taxation without representation. Give me liberty or give me death. I believe that was Patrick Henry. And of course, they dressed up like Indians and had the Boston Tea Party to revolt against British rule. Now, many people don't know that something else that sparked the American Revolution was the issue of American colonists printing their own money. Anyone know that? The American colonies at that time, 13 colonies, by the way. Why? Because many of the founding fathers were Freemasons. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and others were Freemasons. So they were into occultism. This is why they chose the numbers 13 for many things. America, unfortunately, has a different founding than we oftentimes understand. God overruled and God intervened, and he helped James Madison to be able to craft the American Constitution. Praise God. We have many liberties today. Yet, the Freemasons and the occult were intent on making this a bastion of Catholicism. Now, one of the ways that the Catholic Church rules a nation is by creating the central bank. If any time a bank can control the nation's money supply, it can control the entire nation. What that does, now write this down. Are you ready? And we're going to go into this. Let's jump in. We're going to jump right in to our currency issue, okay? Anytime you have a central bank, central banks work on what is called fiat currency. Fiat currency, F-I-A-T. That is a Latin word. Fiat means basically in command. It means the demanded thing. In other words, even though a nation may print its own money, if there's a central bank and a tax collection apparatus in the nation to collect taxes, the federal government can say, look, even though there's many currencies in this country, we will only accept one currency for the payment of taxes. This currency is called a fiat currency, and unfortunately, whatever is the fiat currency to pay taxes in will oftentimes become the main currency in the government. Are you still with me? For example, in Rome, during Jesus' day, there was a fiat currency for paying taxes to Caesar. There were many currencies back then, weren't there? You remember the temple shekel was back there. Anytime the Jews came to offer sacrifice, they had to exchange their money from Roman money into Jewish money because the temple shekel was the fiat currency to pay your taxes for the temple as a Jew. You still with me? Now, for a Jew to have Jewish money and to pay Roman taxes, they would have to go to the money changers or the publicans and change money into the fiat Roman currency to pay taxes. And oftentimes the money changers would charge exorbitant exchange rates. And this is why people hated the publicans, because they were dishonest. They were what we call the modern day IRS. They were sharks. Now what happened was the American colonies began to print their own interest-free money. Anytime a central bank loans you money, now I don't have any money on me, can somebody, I promise I'll give it back. Can somebody loan me, number one, a dollar bill? I'd like to see a $1 bill. I'll just use a dollar bill. That way it's not a big deal if I don't give it back, but I will give it back. A $1 bill, you have one? Thank you so much. Oh, okay, boy, look at that. I get all sorts of people coming up. The $1 bill. Now, I want you to notice something. Well, before I get into that, I'll use you as an example, okay? Now, with a central bank, say I'm a central bank, I create money, okay? When I print money, I loan it to the government. You can have the money to give to your people, to your private institutions, but I loan that to you at interest. In other words, I'm a business. The Federal Reserve System, the banking system, is not federal, and it is not a reserve. It is no more federal than Federal Express. It is a privately owned bank that is for profit for international bankers, and the Reagan administration, Ronald Reagan, in the 1980s, put out a congressional review board to review where our income tax dollars go to. Do you know what they found? They found that 100% of your income tax, after government waste is over, 100% goes into the pockets of private corporations, private bankers. It does nothing to pay off the national debt at all. It only pays interest on the money that was loaned out by the bank. That is where your income tax goes. You go ahead and prove me on that. So what happens is I loan that to you, but every dollar I print, I loan it to you, but I ask it back plus interest. That means, and guess what? In order for you to pay me back the interest, guess where you have to get your money from? From the bank. So I loan you more money so you can pay the loan back, but all that money I loaned you was at interest. So it is impossible for you to pay off the debt unless you create another currency. Does that make sense? Which, by the way, under Article 1 of the United States Constitution, we have the right to print our own interest-free money based on the principles of the American Revolution. Thank you. I'll get back into this. And please remind me, I won't put it in my pocket. I'll put it up here. I won't forget. Now, Article 1 of the Constitution guarantees the right to print interest-free money by the Congress. Why did they do that? Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, said this. He said that I fear that banking institutions are more of a threat to our nation than standing armies. He said, allow once the principle to be institute of a central bank, and the future generations, the children, will wake up homeless on the shores of the continent which their fathers conquered. He predicted that a central bank would bankrupt the nation. Now, how did a central bank occur? Because our Constitution surely does not give license to a central bank. Article 1 of the Constitution says that the Congress can print interest-free money. By the way, every American president who ever has withstood the central bank system has been assassinated or has had an assassination attempt. Did you know that? Guess who is the only president in American history to have ever gotten the nation out of complete debt? Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln in the 1800s warred fiercely against the central bank system and printed interest-free money based on his presidential prerogative. Based on the Constitution, they were called greenbacks. And these greenbacks that are, some of them actually look kind of similar to these greenbacks had a gold backing. On the front, they actually said they are redeemable in gold coin. That meant that they were worth something. Paper is worth nothing, brothers and sisters. You realize that? Did you know how much this dollar bill is worth? 2 cents. Guess how much, no, seriously, that's how much it costs to print this. Guess how much a $100 bill is worth? 2 cents. The only backing that this has is the same backing that monopoly money has. Nothing. The only reason that we're able to use this is because they own the currency system. They have a monopoly. This is why any president who has printed other money has been taken out of the way. You see? This is why President Lincoln was assassinated. Did you know that a general, I forget his name, the general at the time, proved in a court of law that it was a Catholic conspiracy that assassinated President Lincoln? Did you know that? Look up a book by the book's name, Amazing Facts, actually sells this book. Many other Adventist ministries sell this book. It is called 50 Years in the Church of Rome. 50 Years in the Church of Rome by Charles Chiniquy. Charles Chiniquy was an ex-Jesuit priest who Lincoln, before he was president, Abraham Lincoln was what was his occupation? Come on, Americans. He was a lawyer. And Abraham Lincoln defended Charles Chiniquy from being condemned by his Jesuit order and got him off the hook. And Charles Chiniquy wrote in a letter, and it's in the book, 50 Years of the Church of Rome. He wrote, Mr. Lincoln, I saw the hatred in the priest's eyes, and I know them. I fear for your life. John Wilkes Booth was proved in a court of law to be a Roman Catholic. When he fled after shooting him in that theater, he fled to a Catholic home. They found that the conspirators were Roman Catholics.